All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Insurance Restoration Lab. This is John Walker. I'm Greg Thode, and we have put together a conversation today in relation to the collapse of statewide insurance and what that means for the policyholders, insurance companies, mortgage companies, just everybody that would be involved. So, with that, John, you've heard a little bit on the news and everything. What have
Yeah, so we got ourselves a company that took on quite a few jobs. They had I think how many projects do they have going on?
I'm not
We don't know
100%
exactly.
sure,
Yeah.
but I heard in the Seattle market that there was approximately 120 projects that were left out.
So dozens and dozens of insureds in certain policy or certain stages of their restoration were left behind.
That's correct.
In a sense.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Statewide a few weeks ago or last week shut down everything.
Yeah, about a week and a half ago, the Friday before last. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the blowout? What does that look like for everybody? So let's start with the insureds, the property owners. What's going on with those guys?
Well, the first I heard about it was on the news. Since then, we've been approached and have been meeting with a few of the statewide clients. These are homeowners that their homes were destroyed, and most of them are very large losses. They're down to the ground. They're tree strikes that have cut the house in half. And so what we're trying to do right now to help the insureds is go through and review where they were at in the process. And the findings so far have been fairly positive. Not positive for the homeowner to have to go through this experience, but positive in that although there's going to be a dead spot while they regroup and find a contractor, there's still dollars that weren't removed on quite a bit of these. But
Okay.
there were also some where some people made some substantial payments to have work done and only small amounts were done. And so the blowout I was on one yesterday that the insured had paid for the demolition, the engineering, items like that, and all that work had happened, spray sealed everything, and then everybody was gone. And so, that insured's in a pretty good position because with having that, they haven't overpaid in the stage of the work, right?
Okay.
And so they're going to be able to. Their money's being held with the mortgage company, which, as when a lot of times if your house isn't paid off, and you get an insurance check, and you've signed with a contractor, the check will come in the contractor's name, your name, and your mortgage company's name, and that way those monies are protected. And so with that, I think there's a few of these people that are still in a fairly good position, although a hard position, again, because they're going to have dead time to find a contractor. Finding contractors today is hard. Finding materials is hard. So.
And they started that the lien. They would name the lien holder, policy holder, or a lien holder on the checks.
Right.
I believe that was in the financial crisis of 2008. People would basically have a claim,
Right.
and then they would get the insurance check, and then you never hear from them again. And
Right.
the mortgage companies were stuck
Right.
holding the bill there. So
Yeah.
again, in many ways, there's rules for every situation out there, especially this one. Now, so what's the best situation you've run across as far as you kind of explained a good situation. What's the worst situation you've come across or even seen or heard of?
Yeah, one of them is a loss that's been sitting now for 2 years. I don't know the whole story behind it. There's been rumored that work couldn't happen due to COVID. Well, restoration contractors, and we're in Washington State, by the way, they were considered an essential company, meaning their doors could stay open. There's been a few of the people, especially on this one, where they said, yeah, we understood why, because they had people getting sick. That, not shaming or saying anything about people that get sick can't come to work, but it sounds like a part of the excuse for not starting the work on this large one was due to the fact of COVID that they had to shut down, which wasn't, I don't believe that was actually a factual statement. And they were probably, my guess, with the amount of work they had, they were just potentially overloaded with what they had taken on.
Wow.
And that person, sadly, had, that they didn't have a mortgage company. So they didn't, the money came directly to them. They trusted in the statewide firm, and they gave them, I believe it was over $400,000.
Wow.
Yeah, of which I think they were able to recover approximately $200,000 of it. So it looks like they're backwards or in the rears of around $200,000.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess that leads to my question is how does an insured or well, and it's an insurance claim, but yeah,
Right.
How does an insured or a property owner prevent something like this? This is I mean, I think that's the biggest question for most consumers is how do I not get burned by a contractor?
There's kind of a way to look at this because some people will say, like, go with your preferred contractor, the contractor that your insurance company is supplying. And I was part of a franchise organization for years, and we dealt with a ton of franchises out of the hundreds and hundreds that would shut down in a city. And this exact same thing would happen. So I don't know that that's the cure. I would recommend that people use and find out more about the systems that are in place. Do your due diligence on the company. Google reviews are great. There's other review companies out there, but Google seems to be go-to. But whoever you like, right? Do that research. Find out. Go through. You can dial in any of the state boards and find out, are their license current? Are there any complaints against them? And then the biggest thing that I find, and we do this in our company, but this is, I'll give out two great names of software programs that we use that communicate all the time back and forth between the policyholder, that's the homeowner or business owner, the insurance adjuster, John, or any insurance adjuster involved. You can add the mortgage company into that, and then your project managers, your office admin, and the two companies or software programs we use. One is Builder available to anybody in the market. We don't get anything from Builder for this, by the way. I love the product. And then and Dash is another insurance restoration software program. And really, the Builder product communicates so well every step of the way, from the estimate being a lead to the estimate becoming an actual contract to once it's a contract going in, and you can have all your material purchases and everything that goes in there, so it shows that, and it builds a chart for you, a Gantt chart or a workflow chart. And so while things are going on, at least in our company and other companies that do what we do, they are consistently, this is one way you would know if it's good, if you ask for some referrals, ask them, how is their project management software? How is their project manager? And see what their experience was like. That's more of a referral and more of a giving you some bones to that company. But at the end of the day, Statewide had an investor that pulled out on them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, not much they can do.
And talking to a few of their employees, they were shell-shocked.
Wow.
Now, not saying anything like Statewide is okay, and there was nothing like that. I'm not trying to come across on that. But no matter what you do, no matter who you hire, whether it's a preferred, not preferred, there's always a risk. That there's contractors that go out of business every day.
Yeah.
And this happened to be a big one that's getting a lot of publicity. And but behind the scenes, they were owned by private equity that decided they didn't want to do this business anymore, and they abruptly shut down.
Wow. So what you're saying on the Builder or Dash, maybe give us an idea. I know you said what Builder does. What does Dash do? And would it have helped the insured kind of be in the know as far
Yes.
as where they're at in the process,
That's
and they go,
right.
well, wait, hey, I'm in this thing, and I'm not seeing you guys have touched my home in
Yep.
2 months.
Yep.
What's going on?
And that's it, right? Is like when you hire a individual and you've screened them, and whatever their software program is that they're using, find out how it communicates with you, because if you get a schedule, always demand a schedule. I mean, it's that whole goal thing, right? If you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there.
Right.
And with these programs, you put the whole project into there. And if they don't have that, I can guarantee it, they're just hoping to get the job done. This gives you a timeline from start to finish. And look, it's construction. Things can change. But if they change, like let's say your cabinets come in damaged, right? You can put a note in there and include everybody that needs to be included and say the cabinets were delayed, or cabinet was broken, and it's going to, we're going to install everything but this one cabinet, or we're going to wait and still keep working on your project. And whatever you adjust that schedule to, it automatically updates and puts it out. And so if you have a schedule that says drywall is happening, PVA sealer and whatever, and there's nobody at your home, and you're looking at the schedule,
Right.
you don't let that go.
Right.
Right? Yeah, I mean, the schedule's there to be met.
Right.
And there needs to be a good reason why it's not going to be met. Maybe it was COVID. Maybe their 5 drywallers got COVID all at the same time. They're all in the same crew. But getting that notification, it allows you to follow the project. What it's odd on these claims that I've been going out to is that people are, like you mentioned, 2 months. They're like, nothing happened for 2 months. I never heard from anybody.
Right.
Well, if it were my job, I don't need to even go see it, because they're uploading photos, they're updating me. Where's my update? The more we get homeowners involved and carriers involved, or the adjuster, let's say, and we are saying, here's what we're doing, here's this, and here's the inspection date.
Right.
Right? Things are happening. Those are milestones,
Yeah.
right? And the minute things are starting to not happen on your projects without zero explanation, or an explanation that maybe doesn't make sense, that should be a red flag.
Well, some of these policyholders, though, they've entered into a contract
Right.
with these companies. So what's I guess my question to you, what's a reasonable cancellation fee? Because it can be abused, right? Contractors can there's a reason there's a contract, but I've seen some contracts there that have like a 40%
I've seen that.
clawback if you
Right.
cancel the job.
That's right. Yep.
But the company hasn't, this construction company hasn't done anything.
That's right. Yep.
But yet they're holding the policyholder
Right.
hostage. So what's a reasonable if a consumer is looking at a contract from a company going, 40%?
Right.
What
Which
does
is
that
what was
mean?
written into their contract.
Yeah.
I did see that. And
What does that mean?
That's pretty amazing.
What's reasonable?
Yeah. I think what's reasonable.
And we're not lawyers here.
We're not
just to
lawyers.
clarify,
Yeah,
we're not
guys, we're
attorneys.
not.
We're just talking.
What's reasonable is what did you do to get to the point of where you're at today?
Okay.
And then, if you've signed off on the work that has happened, you can't go back and start nitpicking it. And there are some basic construction knowledge rules that nobody may like, but they're legitimate. You walk into a home and a lady's on her hands and knees saying, look at this little piece of felt right here in the finish. It's like, stand up off the ground.
Right.
But back to your question on that, I did read that in their policy, and I was pretty blown away. I don't know contractors that have such a penalty for canceling with them, and I don't even know if they're legal. Again, like John said, we're not attorneys,
Right, yeah.
But one of the reasons that, as you know, John, the insurance companies, when they negotiate with a contractor like myself, somewhere in their world they came up, and I should be more knowledgeable on this, but somewhere in the world, the firms came up with 10 and 10 as 10% overhead, 10% profit.
Right.
And they all run on 37, 38, 40% gross profit. That's a whole nother topic. But so, the contractor at minimum, I feel, for work completed, as long as, again, the homeowner signed off on it, which, as you're hitting these milestones in these software programs, people are signing off on them. But if you get to a point where you're like, I'm not going to work with you anymore. I would, my feeling as your contractor that wrote the estimate, spent thousands of dollars on, videoing, 3D imaging, negotiating with your carrier, going through all of these and getting you this large pot of money, called a pile of money, but
Right.
is that at minimum they owe you for work performed. And then if there's
Right.
any associated fees on top of that that you had to, do up front and you're canceling, like we use the Matterport camera, love the Matterport camera. And it's more expensive to use. It costs us around $1,000 each time, and we don't pass that cost along. That's built into our overhead and profit. So if you're only giving me overhead and profit on what I've completed and you're canceling the contract, I would also, as a contractor, say, well, look, I have an additional $1,100 for some of that startup cost there that I'm requesting. It's not even built into our contract. But
That's not reasonable. I mean, that's reasonable.
Right.
What I'm saying is 40% or this
It's
huge
totally
clock.
unreasonable.
It's just it's literally holding them hostage. I mean, that's the whole.
It is.
That's what it boils down to.
Right.
So
They can disappear for 2 months, not do anything on your job, and if you cancel because of that, which I think you should cancel,
absolutely.
they can come back and say, we owe us 40%
Wow.
of the job.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty amazing that they can put that forward.
And how many people hire an attorney to review the fine print
Right.
of the contractor before
Right.
they do it? And so,
Yeah.
it's something to definitely consider when you're when you're reaching out to when you're in an emergency. And again,
Right.
you're making these decisions so
Right.
fast, and many of these companies come out and they overpromise and undercommit,
Yep.
right? And so it's hard to know what to do and how to do it and not get burned. And these homeowners are burnt. And property owners, they got
Yeah.
burned big time.
The biggest thing that I've seen that they've been burned on, and John, this would be something that I think would be good for you to speak to, is the ALE, right? So why don't you talk to people about ALE?
Yeah, so ALE is an acronym for additional living expense. So that's typically in most policies you're going to have additional coverage, and sometimes it's and depending on the state you're in, depending on what your policy reads. And I always kind of joke, policies are so they're like a DNA strand. They're everyone's different,
Right.
So each policy, you just have to understand what the policy reads.
Right.
And so, again, these poor people are in many ways on a large fire loss. How long is that going to take? Right? It's the average fire, rebuild, depending on all circumstances. It's going to take at least a year, probably, depending. On the size.
No, a large loss fires, which, statewide that was their bread and butter.
Right.
And really, it's our bread and butter at our company also. A lot of people are overpromise, undercommit, underdeliver, and they'll go in there and say, I can get this done in 6 months. And then what they don't tell you is that, well, you have 3 to 4 months ahead of that with engineering,
Right.
Permitting, the discovery, the negotiations back and forth with the carrier, and then you'll hear the thing, well, no, I told you 6 months from the time of permit, right?
Asterisks.
Yeah.
There's an asterisk there.
And like you said too, about the policies are different. So in Washington, we have 1 year of ALE on almost every insurance policy I've ever seen. A lot of the people I see in California and Colorado, because they seem to have more fires or for whatever reason, I really don't know why, but theirs have all been pushed to 2 years
Right.
of ALE. But in Washington State, we have 1 year.
1 year.
1 year, that's it.
And again, it varies by policy, right?
Right.
Some of the last couple policies I've had has been a dollar amount, and maybe they
Okay.
reach that figure by taking the rental, and they have some algorithm in their underwriting department that says, oh, that house is worth this much, and this is how much the rent's going to be multiplied by 12,
Right.
and there you have it.
Right.
I don't know if that's the case, and
Okay.
so, but again, Greg, do you know how much your policy has at your home for how much additional living expense? Have you looked at it lately?
No.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't.
So most
That's
people
so
don't look
funny.
at. I have a policy. My policy, I believe, I did ask my mortgage company to use a specific company because I bundle it with my auto insurance. Blah blah
Right.
blah. But I don't know the specifics, and I'm an
Right.
insurance guy.
Right.
I literally do this for a living. I
Right.
see the policies, and I see, you do a review, and you go, huh. I don't know, Seattle residents, has your home gone up in value in the last 2 years,
Right.
3 years?
Have building costs gone
Building
up? Have
costs gone
material
up,
costs
right.
gone up?
So all this stuff we have to review, and in many ways, it's going to bring some awareness to your insurance premiums. And we talked a little bit about this in our pre-show meeting, whatever you
Right.
want to call that.
Right.
But there's a race to the bottom where these companies are offering just pay for what you need.
Right. Right.
We're less, but every time you lower that price of insurance, you're trading that for something.
You are trading.
You
it
are
for
trading
something.
it for less coverage,
Right.
less customer service. There's companies out there that don't even have hardly any human beings,
Right.
and you plug in a thing in an algorithm and it runs
Right.
and it tells you what it is.
Which,
right?
by the way, that's where I believe the industry is going.
It's going that way. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So on the ALE, topic there, I think that from what I've seen, being looking at quite a few of these statewide losses right now, is that they have been sitting so long that's where I see the biggest trouble
Yeah.
for some insureds. And where do they get the money to pay for that rental while they're waiting for their home? Now, to find a contractor that will agree to their agreed upon price, or go in there like we're doing, reviewing the file and saying, okay, look, we're good with this. But here's 8 additional items that we found were not covered in your original agreement, and we're taking that to the adjuster and to the homeowner. And so far from what we found, the adjusters are very open to hearing it. Your contractor has to be able to prove what he wants to do.
Right, yeah.
Right. Can't just say, I want a 50-year presidential roof on there when you had a 3-tab. You can
Right.
pay for that out of pocket. But
Yeah.
so on that, I really think that is where we're going to see a lot of people get hit.
And we talked a little bit about that. What do they do? Are they gonna be able to ask for more?
Right.
An insurance policy is literally a contract.
Right.
Right? The contract has some very specific limitations to
Right.
it. And especially with an insurance company not being able to pursue a company that just folds
Right.
and files and goes away
Right.
into nowhere.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So I don't know the answer to how they're going to recover. Most insurance companies or examiners will probably, if there's a balance,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming some will probably say, hey, we'll try to help you out here.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to say that. I think they're off the hook, and I think they should be off the hook, right? And that I know that some of the times when we'll say stuff, you may find it harsh, but what we're trying to do is really give you a realistic picture of what an adjuster and a restoration contractor are up against. My recommendation is, as soon as possible, go to a local bank and apply for a construction loan. And you could actually take the document that your contractor provided you, because it's a real document agreed upon by your carrier. Funds were put out, and they're probably with your mortgage company. And so it's not like you are going to have to build a whole new house for $500,000. If you received, let's say, $400,000 and said company kept 100 of it, you have $300,000 left to rebuild your home. It's sitting with your mortgage company. Now, the rebuild, let's say, was the 450 with some open items. Now I don't know a bank, and I could be wrong. I'd love a banker to, comment.
Question us. Yeah, come on.
And I don't know a bank that, if you had a homeowner coming in saying, I want to rebuild this house. I actually own the property, everything about it, and I have $300,000 to rebuild it, but I need an additional $100,000 loan, right? Unless you've already put yourself in a bad position with the home refinancing and you've drained all the equity out of your home, that they're gonna own a position on that home. And I really think that as fast as, if I were one of these people and I knew that I had paid out too much, I would very quickly be talking to a local bank and saying, here's my situation.
Yeah, and that's the whole purpose of this conversation is as a laboratory, right?
Right.
How do I fix this?
That's
I'm
right.
stuck with this problem. How do I resolve it? How do
Right.
I get this to move, to budge?
Right.
Because right now a lot of people are going, I don't know what to do.
Right.
I am
They really don't.
I'm upside down in this
Yeah.
project and I don't know what to do.
Right, right. Well, another recommendation for that. First of all, did we say that we are the Insurance Restoration Laboratory?
We started with that. I think we
Yeah,
did.
okay,
But
just
we
to
didn't
make
say
sure.
who we are though, right? Like,
Right.
so I'm an independent and public adjuster, right?
Right.
And Greg, you do restoration. You're a
That's
restoration
right. Done it
contractor.
my whole life.
So
That's right.
we're the stereotypically, we're the guys fighting with each other.
That's right.
You know, technically, an insurance adjuster is not technically supposed to negotiate with a contractor.
Right.
But we do all the time, right?
Right.
Everyone talks to each other to try to reach what's called an agreed price, so
That's
that
right.
everyone goes, "Hey, here we go. Here's this insurance company, pay this amount, and Greg's going to be happy." The insurance company is going to go, okay, this is good, and obviously some open items here and there. But
Right.
typically, a lot of guys in our industry are going at each other
Yeah.
left and right.
Right.
And so our
and
purpose
more
of
and
that,
more these days, almost
Yeah.
like how society's going anyway.
Right.
There's a bigger wedge than ever being driven, and that's the reason we wanted to put this together, because I truly believe that there is middle ground to be had. You know, you have multiple groups out there. But that's for another conversation,
Yeah.
you know. But it's a long one. That may be a 3-hour
Yeah,
podcast.
right.
I could go on forever on that. But so back to the question about your banking, and I'm sorry I kind of lost focus on that. But applying for a construction loan, you're going to have a legitimate contractor who's doing that.
probably
And-
some kind of contract executed as well,
That's
saying,
right.
here
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your mortgage company, they're not going to release the funds. I know what I was thinking about, but I want to finish. Your mortgage company isn't releasing funds until they do an inspection anyway. They have a vested interest in your home being rebuilt.
Yeah.
And so while I've been out there, and the other thing I've seen is while we've been out, there's a lot of news reports. And I want to give people the benefit of the doubt that they just don't understand where they stand. But a lot of these that I'm seeing where people are saying, I spent $40,000 and they've done nothing. But then right on the screen, I can see that the full demolition's been done.
Right.
Probably an asbestos abatement, a lead abatement. And then they show the inside of the home, and again, nothing's been done. And they go into the house, and it's been completely gutted and spray sealed, which is what you do in a fire restoration deal. I see some new lumber up, so they obviously did some framing.
Right.
And they're saying that that they were taken for $40,000, and I'm looking at it, kind of scratching my head, going, "Well, this is easily $40,000 worth of work."
Yeah, and maybe it's not that bad.
Right,
Maybe they're
right.
just upset. Oh, my contractor went under.
That's right.
I'm mad.
They
I
took
got an
my
unfinished
money.
project, and they
Yep.
took my money.
Yep.
Maybe it's not that bad. So maybe they need to call you.
Well,
Right?
and
And
that's what we're trying to do,
yeah.
right?
Or
That
call
we're
a
trying
reputable
to-
contractor.
Yeah, we're not even calling saying you should hire us. We're reaching out to say, if you would like us to review your situation, we can tell you whether we can help you or not.
Right.
That's it.
Awesome.
Right?
And so Greg works. It's Golden Coast
Construction
and restoration.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's a great call. And we'll when we publish this, we'll put your contact information in there, and
Oh, yeah.
again we can. If they need to talk to you or comment, and we'll reach out and
Yep.
we'll figure that out. So, okay, we're getting close to the end of our self-prescribed time limit. Anything else you want to add regarding the statewide?
Not
Deal?
too much other than don't panic,
Yeah.
is the biggest thing. And some of the media reports have been good. And matter of fact, a lot of these media reports have gone on for years about them. John and I were investigating it a little bit, and it was kind of the writing on the wall for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Really dig deep into your contractor, find out who they are, what their software is. Weird as that sounds, find out what their processes are.
Yeah.
I mean, my selling point when I'm out there is that we are truly professional, and then you have to be able to support that. I can support that by showing you the applications we use. If you want to come in, we can sit down and go through the process with you to show you the schedule that you'll get, where your money's being spent. It has to be, to use a term, very transparent. right?
Be somewhat close, but we can pick back up and edit this.
Sure.
So
Last thing for me, and then John, if you want to close it out, was the reason we put this together is because both of us are at two completely other ends of the industry. And we have worked on claims in the past before, and although John and I would, it's our job, right? We're out there trying to figure it out, and it's not necessarily our job just to come together and agree to everything. Sorry about that. And so we put this together, and we hope you enjoyed it. John?
yeah, no, I totally agree, and I love. I guess my parting ways is in response to that is to not have anybody panic, but you can do that with knowledge and having an understanding. So we're hopefully a resource, and we can add value to a consumer or a contractor or an insurance company. We can add value to a difficult situation. There's always an opportunity to understand the process, and I think that helps you. I think that helps people relax a little bit if they know what's going on. It reminds me of that video, the meme of that person in the water, thinks they're drowning, right? And then their back is up, and it's just like, put your feet down.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
And that sometimes it just takes some professionals that know what they're doing, that can help you through the process. And
that's correct.
I don't profess to know a whole lot about anything, right? But I do know the insurance claims. I know resolution, and I know that communication in the process is going to help most people get to the end.
That's right.
And we talk about this all the time, and I won't go off on a tangent, but it's communication. Let's talk about it. Let's get it figured out. Tell the story. Most of the disputes, most of the issues I come across is because someone can't communicate or tell the story effectively.
Right.
So we're here. We're going to tell stories. We're going to talk about those types of things. Statewide just happened to be right on the forefront of what's happening. So that's our first podcast, our first episode is based on this, just because it's a current event, it's relevant, and it's exciting.
Yeah, it's about as current as it gets,
Yeah.
other than the hurricane in Florida. Sorry for everybody down there, but our hurricane on the West Coast is statewide. Yours is in Florida.
Exactly. And we're on the other side of the country, and it is interesting, and where our heart goes out to people. And maybe some of this will help someone in Florida too, because quite frankly, there's a lot of people going out there, and I think there is a whole drama right now because the Florida insurance head of insurance he came out and called public adjusters locusts.
Really?
He says they're coming out locusts. They're going to sign you up while you're in the hardest time of your life. You just lost everything, and he referenced that in his press conference. And oh man, it set the fire. It set everyone on fire down there. And Florida is a very litigious state.
Right.
It's going to light some people up, and part of it is you and I can sit here and talk frankly. Some people are out there going, it's payday. Let's go.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go take as much money as I can and take advantage of it. There's insurers leaving Florida left and right, just like Statewide just left the people. And so this is our hurricane in the Northwest.
Right.
Southeast is under a whole different hurricane, and maybe this can help some people. But these are the some recommendations that Greg had given, as well as finding out you have a contractor who knows their stuff, has some great references, has some great processes. Is it processes or processes?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they follow them.
Right.
And then one last thing I'd like to throw in there. Look, this is really new to us. We think it's a great idea. One thing we've agreed to is we're not going into the negative. We may say things that may sound maybe negative or like something, but really what we're trying to do is point out an issue that we see, and we could be wrong. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we want to have the discussion. And one thing we're not going to do is actually reply to just like haters, right? Like you just mentioned about what could potentially happen with the governor saying what he says or the public adjusters getting involved. And we have to deal with them here, right?
Yeah.
You go out with your best intentions and you're like, we want to help you. And then you get this whole other guy that shows up like almost with a baseball bat, and all he wants to do is kill you. And we're like, we're nowhere near that. We do win. You know, I'm going out there looking to do the best job for the policyholder. I've known John for years, and I know that as long as we're able to explain what we're doing, he understands it. He checks the policy, see if things are covered. If they can pay, they pay. And but getting that right person that can read through those items, and everybody coming to the board, to the table, and coming up with a solution for the homeowner, for the business owner, is really all that should matter.
All that matters.
Yep.
Well, good. I'm excited. This is a fun journey for us, and you know, hopefully our setup, maybe our setup will improve. We'll get better at this and our editing, but it's
Right.
We're excited to just get some little bit of something out there. Start the discussion. Open up the laboratory for some conversation, and hopefully find that secret sauce, right?
That's right.
That
Yeah.
elixir that we were
That's right.
talking about. So, all right.
Well, thank you guys
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you.
John, thank you. We look forward to talking to you soon.
And this one's for my kids. If you like the video, smash that subscribe button.
For my family, same thing. Get on it.
All right,
Good
guys.
night.
See ya. Bye.